this is Amanda with Music Game Club. In today's video, we will talk about using Icy Intervals to sight read intervals and also to use intervals for ear training. Now, I have a full blog post about ear training, so I will drop a link to that in the description below so you can watch that. First off, we're going to talk about sight reading. So there are a few different ways you can do sight reading. You can obviously just take one card at a time and have your students sight read. Of course, you want them to sight read in the correct octave, so be sure that they would sight read this as middle C, but this would not be middle C. Another way you can do this is if you have a little bit of time, you can see how many intervals they can sight read in 1 minute or in 5 minutes, depending on how much time you have. And for this one, you would not use the penguins. Instead, you would use the markers. And here's how I would do it. So you're going to get all of the markers and you are going to start with the first card or just a random card. It doesn't matter how you do it. Remember, cards 1 through 3 are in C position, cards 4 through 6 are in G position, and cards 7 through 15 are in a bunch of different positions. So it's up here on the staff, down there on the staff, in the middle, kind of on the top. So you could choose whichever cards work best for your student. Here's how I would do this. I would set the timer, pick a card, and they have to sight read the interval, and then they can claim it on the board. That's a second. So they have to identify it, they have to play it, and then claim it. And then this one, that one is a fourth. They'd play it, they would claim it. And then this one, that one is a 6. They would claim it. This one is a third. They would claim it. Put that card down, draw another card, and do the same thing. And at the end of the clock, you can look to see what do they have completed. How many fish do they have on 6th? How many fish do they have on 2nds, on 3rds, 4ths, 5ths? So that's just a fun way to see how many fish were they able to collect on all of the cards in the 1 minute timer or 5 minute timer. Using this game for ear training, you would pick a card and your student would pick a card. And again, if you needed to pick one within their reading level, cards 1 through 3 are C position, 4, 5, 6 are G position, and if they're more intermediate and can read anything, 7 through 15. So you each pick a card, but you do not show or lay down the card. You kind of hold it to your chest. And what you do is you're going to go through and you're going to start with the first interval each. So say this is my card. I will play this, and this is for my student. So I would play it, and they would have to listen and know, oh, that's a third. And then you each have your little penguin piece. They would roll the die and move toward the third. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if your student has not learned how to listen to intervals and identify them, we have a whole blog post and I think another YouTube video that goes more into detail about explaining how to teach intervals to your students for the first time. So I'll be sure that there's a link that you can find that video and blog post down below. So you will play this for them, and then you'll hide your card. You're not looking at their card, and they will play their first interval for you. Okay, and then you listen, you're like, oh, that's a second. So then you'd roll your die, and you would 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so you would just hold on to this. And basically, whoever can get 4 tokens first wins. So then it's your turn again to play for the students. Since they have not collected this one yet, you repeat it. They roll their die again. 1, 2, 3. Then it's their turn to play for you. Since you've already guessed this one, then they move on to this one and they play that one for you. You have to guess it's a 4 and make your way 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the 4th. And the game play continues like that. Now, the disadvantage for this is that unlike the regular gameplay, where you can strategically do the 2nd and the 3rd, you've already collected your 2nd, you go to the 4th, you go to the 6th, and you have to go back to the 3rd. So it takes a little bit longer this way, but I believe you can get it in less than 5 minutes. And one way you can save time is instead of playing the interval every single time, if they know they've got to go for a 3rd, then whenever it's their turn, you don't have to play it again because they're like, oh, I've got to go for a 3rd, got to go for a 3rd. So that will cut off a little bit of time there. So that's a really fun way you can do Icy Intervals as an ear training game and start getting your students used to hearing those pitches. And then if you want to, you can ask them to name notes. So let's say you're using the C position cards and you play a second. Well, that's going to be middle C and D. And so that will help them to really nail down their ear training. You can take this as far as you want to. And if they know it's in C position and they know, hey, well, that's not low C, that's middle C, then that will help them to be able to recognize the exact pitches. I do not have perfect pitch, but I think something like this would kind of help me toward that direction, at least honing in that better. I know perfect pitch is somewhat natural, but you can also train your ear to recognize pitches better. And I think this would be one way to do it. Have fun playing Icy Intervals, whether it is with sight reading intervals on the piano or using it as ear training. Be sure to celebrate with a success poster. If you post it on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or TikTok, feel free to tag us at Music Game Club. Have fun.